Warhammer 40k Fluff for the uninitiated.
Episode 14. Technology in the Imperium of Man and Beyond.
With the blood of an enemy shall the marks be made upon the missile. Then bless the missile and present unto the mountain. Say the prayer of firing and curse the target. Do this rapidly lest the wrath of the weapon be wasted. Point the eye of the weapon so that it may see the object of its wrath. When the weapon has uttered its curse and eaten the soul of its victim, then shall you take up the next missile.
The Imperium of Man is an empire of near-infinite diversity. Imperial technology is a wild mixture of ancient and modern-day technology, science fiction and fantasy. An imperial world may see poor people shielding themselves from the acid rain of continent-spanning forged cities, using waxed paper glued to metal frames held up on a pole, while the rich person right next to them might resort to carbon nanotubes head covers extending from a hidden compartment implanted in their own neck. Horse-drawn carriages are as much at home in the Imperium as personal teleportation devices that yank their users through the chaos of the warp to spit them out precisely where they need to be. To understand the state of technology in the Imperium, one has to know many different factors that have all played together to form this entirely unique blend.
In ancient times, men built wonders, laid claim to the stars, and sought to better themselves for the good of all. But we are much wiser now.
For historical reasons, artificial intelligence is completely prohibited in the Imperium. Therefore, tasks typically associated with modern-day computers are instead carried out by servitors. These are partially lobotomized humans who are left with no free will, no creativity, no instincts, only the barest minimum of brain matter required to carry out their intended function, such as writing down meeting protocols, aiming and firing point defense cannons, or loading and unloading transport shuttles, to name just a few possible servitor tasks. Servitors are ubiquitous in the Imperium, and some spaceships have entire crews of servitors with only the captain still human to give commands. There are also combat servitors, ranging from basically human beings with an autocannon for an arm to what pretty much amounts to small battle mechs surrounding a little bit of brain matter. In a similar vein, many higher-ranking Imperials employ servo drones, which range from hollowed-out skulls with built-in anti-grav units and other tech depending on their intended purpose, to the corpses of small children augmented to resemble pudgy little angels that play angelic choirs for ambience, because one of the most dominant design styles in the Imperium is a sort of neo-Gothic aesthetic, so it is not at all uncommon to see the bridge of a spaceship with lush carpeting, velour drapes, and gold embellishments. Essential for the creation of servitors is augmentation technology. In the Imperium, anyone with a halfway decent standing in society can get some form of augmatics, from very crude mechanical arms to perfectly lifelike artificial eyes, depending on how important and rich the person in question is. This allows the Imperial Guard to keep soldiers in the fight until they actually die, while elsewhere the loss of several limbs or the lower jaw might get a soldier out of combat duty.
Enemies of the Imperium, hear me! You have come here to die. The immortal Emperor is with us, and we are invincible. His soldiers will strike you down. His war machines will crush you under their treads. His mighty guns will bring the very sky crashing down upon you. You cannot win. The Emperor has given us his greatest weapon to field, so make yourself ready. We are the 1st Cronus Regiment, and today is our victory day.
There are also those who voluntarily get augmetic replacements for fully functional parts of their bodies, chief among those the Adeptus Mechanicus of Mars. Their highest tech priests have replaced every organic thing in their body except the parts of the brain required for memory and logical thinking, also adding additional features not found in their original bodies, such as additional limbs or communication suites, vox emitters that spew forth compressed bursts of lingua technis, which is binary data quite like a modern-day modem uses, so they can communicate with other tech priests digitally, or noospheric readers and emitters, which we would really just call Wi-Fi. All of this hints at one of the Imperium's most important technologies, the Mind Impulse units. An MIU is an interface between a brain and a machine, from the lowliest versions barely capable of crude movement of a supportive exoskeleton to massive versions connecting a princeps with his titan so fully that their consciousnesses blend together. The MIUs are also used to give new life to mortally wounded space marines in the form of the mighty dreadnoughts, walking tanks with Astartes in them. The most common weapons in the Imperium are las weapons. Based on unscientific fantasy ideas about lasers, these weapons shoot lances of visible energy at very high velocity, which instantly heat up the point of impact, turning some of the matter into a quickly expanding cloud of superheated plasma, making las weapons surprisingly effective for something that fires with a rather disappointing pop sound. Las guns are the standard issue weapon for members of the Imperial Guard, las pistols are common as sidearms, long lasers are sniper rifles, and las cannons are even used by Space Marines as anti-tank weapons. More often, Space Marines will however use bolters, weapons that shoot mass-reactive self-propelled gyrojet projectiles. Traditional black powder projectile guns are also in use, particularly in calibers .50 and upwards. Beyond these, flamers, plasma weapons and super-powered microwave guns are all used in varying amounts.
Toll the great bell once. Pull the lever forward to engage from piston and pump. Toll the great bell twice. With push of button, fire the engine and spark turbine into life. Toll the great bell thrice. Sing praise to the god of all machines.
Which brings up the next peculiarity of Imperial technology, the machine spirit. The Adeptus Mechanicus firmly believe that the more complex and ancient a machine is, the more of an actual living spirit inhabits it, meaning that the Imperial Titans and spaceships, being the most complex things ever built by mankind, have the strongest machine spirits. The machine spirit must be appeased to ensure proper operation and may inhibit proper functioning of the machine if it feels insulted. No small wonder then that Imperial citizens tend to view machines as mystical and wondrous things to be revered. Of course, there are those who claim that the machine spirit refers to nothing more than, as appropriate, either automated systems or proper maintenance and operation procedures. Such heretics are obviously not in high standing with the cult Mechanicus. This debate is unlikely to be settled anytime soon, however, because in the Imperium nobody understands technology. Least of all the Adeptus Mechanicus, who devote their entire lives to the Omnissiah, the machine god, of whom all machine spirits are a faint shadow. Tech priests, engine seers, Magus technologists, and all the other kinds of Mechanicus members know how to use technology, how to maintain it, perhaps replicate it, but they never understand it. For to analyze and understand the machines is blasphemy. It is the realm of the machine god and not meant for mortal beings. Innovation is very much restricted, and any new invention will be scrutinized for decades, often centuries, and is usually considered heretical and destroyed alongside its obviously heretical inventor. Only rarely will a new technology be deemed a gift from the Omnissiah and embraced into the vast databanks of Mars. There are, however, vast repositories of technological knowledge from the long past golden age of technology. These so-called standard technology constructs, abbreviated as STCs, were used on human colonies both to hold blueprints and to automatically craft the desired machinery. Some were specialized to a single very complex technology such as a Titan pattern, some contained almost all the technological knowledge of the entire species, and almost all of them were lost during Old Night, also called the Age of Strife, when vicious warp storms made warp travel impossible and separated human colonies from each other for millennia. In M41, the recovery of an STC containing no other recoverable data than the formula for a lightweight, sturdy metal alloy to be used in Astartes warblades was so valuable to the Mechanicus that the guard regiment that found it was awarded a planet. A planet.
When uttering the incantation, mark well that the rod is upon and not within the intake. The second incantation should not be uttered until all the fumes have come forth. Then the way shall be clear for the sacred words to penetrate unto the heart of the engine. If the mounting be hot, say the third rune. If it be called the fourth rune is more appropriate, for then the wrath of the engine will be aroused.
Another mystical aspect of Imperial technology is the interplay between technology and psychic phenomena, the most obvious of which are the Gala field generators used on warp-capable spaceships. These Gala field generators generate the Gala field, which shields the real space matter of ships sailing the Sea of Souls from the brutal maelstrom of the warp and the predators that lurk within it. Other examples include toggleable torques that suppress a Psyker's or Pariah's powers, Psy cannons that shoot bolter shells imbued with their wielder's powers, or stasis fields that perfectly suspend the passage of time within them.
Between the stars, the ancient unseen enemies of mankind wait and hunger. Every voyage into the nothing is a confrontation with horror, with the implacable things of the warp, and with man's own innermost fear.
There exists another kind of technology in the Imperium: Xenos technology. While strictly forbidden, the alien races have created several technological wonders the priests of Mars could never hope to copy, even if it wasn't heresy. Single-use weapons disguised as a ring that fire a blast powerful enough to take out a space marine. Tau rifles that punch a hole the size of a pinky finger through a super heavy battle tank at such incredible velocity that the vacuum created on the inside is strong enough to suck the crew out through the hole and turn them into a long spray of crimson pulp coming from the exodope. Despite the obvious advantages the possession of such items would mean, the Inquisition is the only Imperial institution allowed to even sequester, sometimes even use them. For everybody else, they mean a death sentence if discovered. The Imperium uses many technologies we take for granted in our time as well, but always with a stylistic twist. The Imperium uses iPads, but they are called data slates. They use holographic projectors, but they are called hololithic displays. They use walkie-talkies, but they are called voxcasters. I have previously mentioned the noosphere as being basically Wi-Fi, and lingua technis as being encoded binary data. But in a universe as vast as this, there are many more examples if you but look for them. Gristle-faced and lipless, the regiments of the dead howl out their awful calumny as your footfall passes. Dun smoke fills the massive cavity of space. O machine! O divine engine! Furnace hot the welter of your combustion, buckling the rancid air of heaven's arch, and fusing the mold of the ground to glass. The princeps in his amniosis, drinking liquid data, broken by the beautiful agony of being so mighty, feels the burden of your great walk as surely as if he had carved the mausoleum plaques of your every last victim alone by hand until finger bones peep through eroded flesh. O metal god! The union is fierce like a maelstrom in black water, like a seething cauldron on a fire in which you boil and cook together, no start of one, no end of another, but both admixed like an alloy. To be clutched by God, to feel the incendiary hunger ring in your marrow, O lucky man! Do you ever really sleep? In the long between times, in the silences wasted in oily hold and scaffold frames. Do you sleep then? When the engine sears reduce you to dormancy, is that sleep for you? Do you dream then, great engine? What do you dream about?